big day for Geneva, great win for this program, and it's a good way to head into the recruiting season and beyond, right, Coach?
Absolutely. Couldn't be more proud of the effort that our guys gave. We played a lot of young people this year. We were the youngest team in the entire league. And to be able to win 5 games in a conference
loaded,
where we sent 3 teams to the national playoffs, it's unheard of. And to be 5-5, obviously it's not what everybody wants, but it's a step in getting back to where we want to be.
You know, there's a lot of good things happening with regional college football. Duquesne is 8-2 on the year. Robert Morris, tough loss against Central Connecticut State, but they seem to be getting things on track. And then you look up and down. I mean, there's some really good things happening. And obviously, we've been talking about the teams that you played this year. It's a good place right now when it comes to regional college football, right?
Oh, there's no question about it. I mean, look at Slippery Rock and, Cal, IUP. And just a couple years ago, I mean, you had YSU that had a couple good years. It's a great place for small college ball. It really is. And we're talking about Duquesne. I mean, 1AA football. Jerry's has played some big time people. I mean,
Yeah, Jerry, Coach Schmidt, good guy.
A really good guy, man.
All right, I want to talk to you a little bit about this time of year. Now that when you have a young football team like that and you end on a winning note and you do something really you haven't done since 2013, I mean, you kind of get out pretty much no worse for the wear as far as your record. You kind of want to get going now. Can you actually give yourself time off, or is the adrenaline always flowing to where you're like, why aren't we going to practice today?
The season and the schedule, I mean, you're very familiar with it because you understand it. There isn't, during the season, it's basically you've got football, and then you go home and you sleep. And now all of a sudden,
it's over.
You just hit the brakes, run into the wall, however you want to phrase it. And, okay. And we're going to be in recruiting process. We're talking with our players now. I'm having meetings. But it's absolutely, it's hard to describe. You understand what it's like.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if you realize this, but I have a very deep connection to Dunkin' Donuts. Do you know that?
Do you do?
Yes, I do. So I want to thank you for bringing Dunkin' Donuts to the building today. I go way back with Dunkin' Donuts, and there is a good connection. America runs on Dunkin', and so does your Pratt Pack. We're going to talk about football in general because I don't get a chance to just relax with you a little bit because it's during the season, and he's always high octane. So we're going to just talk some football in just a moment. But I want to finish with Geneva football. What does this season really do for you personally about the future? Does it give you a good thought process on maybe Geneva kind of getting back on that right path in the coming years because of what you did this year?
I think what this year did for me personally was have the belief in team reestablished. We were not very good during camp. In fact, one of the referees that had our inter-squad scrimmage, because we didn't even have a scrimmage, he goes, wow. He goes, you guys have come a long, long way since that scrimmage. He goes, that was rough. Like, there was a part, because we knew we only had one starter back on offense. And had some young kids on defense, and we had all these 70 new kids coming to the program. But just to be able to see us maximize the potential that we had, and win games. It's hard to describe that we won games, and the games that we won very similar in the approach that we had when we were always winning games. It's hard to describe this.
I know what you mean.
Okay, so
thought process is the same.
The thought process. So let's just call it what it is. I mean, this season taught us about team. It also taught me that there's a group of teams that are really good, and there's us. So the thing is, how do you get into that
Mode again, winning mode.
winning mode? How do you get into that elite club? I mean, this conference is,
Well, here's how you do it. You want to hear some advice from an old
please
veteran?
tell me,
Repetitions over
and over?
and over from summer, winter, spring, and fall. 1 year to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 15 to 20 repetitions.
Well, I mean, repetition is a great thing. It is.
Lombardi believed in it.
Yes. Lombardi also had Bart Starr.
Jimmy Taylor,
He had Jimmy Taylor.
Paul Horning,
He had
Jerry Kramer.
Jerry Kramer. We could go on and on. I mean,
What a great team.
oh, you think? Yeah. But this group just maximized.
Lombardi sweep.
Yeah, that was the
But
play.
here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Don't you just love when it works?
But here at Geneva, when it works, it's more than just winning a football game. It's seeing these guys that are seniors, and coaches know what this means. Coaches understand this because they see it. It's hard to describe this to people that haven't been, in the game or part of it. I mean, we got seniors out on the field. It's
But
their
you
last
understand-
game.
you understand.
Crying. I mean,
Even though you haven't been in the winning mode, this season indicates once again, you are truly one of the greatest coaches to ever come out of this region. Because listen, when you look at what you had going in and going back to what that official told you and how there was some big time defeats, you got crushed,
every loss was a crush.
but you kept plowing ahead and you kept these young men believing. So much so, I see them over here heading to the weight room just days removed from the season, already anticipating of what they want to do moving forward. That is the true meaning of a coach, making the team believe when all else is failing. And you end up 5-5.
Yeah,
That's pretty impressive, Coach.
it's just part of the process of understanding. Yeah, how do you define success? That's real. That's what it comes
But
down.
you understand that even the greatest, I mean, the Steelers defense made Lamar Jackson look human yesterday. Even he was saying, look, we need to score points, and we didn't do it. I mean, so no matter who you are, it happens. Look what has happened to Coach Narduzzi. All world. And now, last couple of weeks, reality has set in, and they've got Louisville coming up this week, which isn't going to be any easier than this loss to Clemson. So everybody goes through it. They were telling Tomlin, you weren't even going to be in the conversation because of Lamar and Joe Burrow. Well, Joe Burrow, Cincinnati got beat by Justin Herbert, who I've been saying for the longest time, you better start paying attention to this guy because he's got a coach now, Jim Harbaugh, and they are definitely in the conversation. Patrick Mahomes looking human right now. So I don't care who you are. It's cycles. Everybody goes through these cycles. Kirby Smart, Georgia, cycles. Alabama, cycles. I don't care who you are, every level, you go through cycles.
Well, yeah.
And this is
places,
a winning note. You ended on a winning note, 5-5. People, this alumni, they should be ecstatic about that.
I mean, they are because they understand the competition.
And they should have brought you donuts.
Yeah,
Because that was nice of you to bring donuts.
Yeah. But it's a reestablishment of what team means and the resiliency of coaching and giving kids an opportunity to hope for a better outcome that just happened last week. You're right. What do you say to a team that gets beat 50? I don't even know what it was, 53-7. All right, and then we're going to turn around. And when we saw Waynesburg on tape, what we saw was a team that was very, very much a physical football team to run the ball down your throat. They were playing their best football at the end of the season. They had, the running back is the best kid in the league. And, we came out and we played our most complete game of the year at the end. And, okay, as a coach, that's what you want for your team. At the end of the year, you want to play your best game.
Well, you did. And this administration appreciates you as we appreciate them. And it really is about the faith-based education. But it's nice when you win some football games. It just adds to the ingredient. Wouldn't you agree?
It does. It really does. I mean, winning's, after a while, people love winners. I mean, it's just,
Listen, when I was with Matt Miller at McKeesport,
Yep.
and I know Coach won't mind me saying this, his son may be contemplating coming here. Still has another year of football left. But when I hear people miles away talking about the experience and how he was here one day with his son walking around, it just makes me feel as though I'm a part of that. I'm a part of that. And I'm in this great town of blue collar mentality that really was a huge part of Pittsburgh and this country's success. And they're really doing some great things in McKeesport. And here this coach, who I remember as a player for George Smith, we're sitting at George Smith Field, Memorial Stadium. He's praising Geneva College and you as a coach. I feel as though I'm a part of your team, and that makes me feel good.
Well, I think that's what community is. I mean, it really is. How can one organization, not only in the city of Pittsburgh, but you have pockets of Steeler fans all
everywhere
over the country. You have, my daughter have been to Rome. There's a Steeler bar in Rome.
Yeah, I know.
Like, what is the attraction? Like, what is it? Is it just the epitome of community coming together? Is it really just that old school is still looked at as that's the way America is or was? What is it?
I don't know. It's a wonderful melting pot. Okay, let's just talk some football.
I think what you just said right there hit it.
Yeah,
It's a melting pot.
It is. That's why I love it so much. I just love every nook and cranny of this great place that is our country. Going to be visiting some coaches this week. Here we go again. But I just want to talk about one that's close by, Mark Lyons in Central Valley. I'll be with him on Wednesday. What has he meant to football in this region?
Mark doesn't even understand what his legacy is.
No.
He doesn't even comprehend it. And the reason he doesn't understand it is because he's a Monaca guy. And the Monaca guy in him will not let him
appreciate himself.
Exactly.
I agree.
That can go back for many, many years. He won't allow himself to appreciate himself. I mean, we got more Geneva people involved over at Central Valley, and those, they're just, it's incredible.
Coach John Carr at Avonworth, who they'll be playing for the WPL championship. We've got 4 big games, Power Bowser, Saturday, KDK. Coverage starts very early in the morning after my show. The other thing, so I've been down the Bruno Foundation. Larry played here. Going to be back there this week with some surprise guests. We had a great time with Coach Yanessa and Ronnie Shiro, of course, great coach, connected to Beaver Falls, connected to Geneva, Riverside, Carl Flory, it just goes on and on. But Joe Namath is Joe Namath. And it's just funny, I've just been caught up in Joe Namath for whatever reason. And I still love running the football. So guess what I was stumbling onto today and researching? John Riggins.
Oh.
Listen, if you love football, in fact, I'm going to try to reach out to this guy, I think. Because he played with Joe in Joe's latter stages with the Jets, and then he goes on to play for Washington. But here's the best part of all. So he asked Washington to renegotiate his contract. Said no. So he goes back to Kansas. He played football in Kansas, and I happened to pull into this parking lot, and in front of me, someone's license plate, Kansas. Okay? That happened today, too. Someone's writing a script. I'm just playing along until it's over, right? So anyway, he goes back to the farm, and Joe Gibbs is like, I got to get this guy back. So he goes out there, and there he is, camouflage and beer in his hand. And he looks at Joe Gibbs, and he says, you better get me back there. I'll make you a legend. And he did. But I mean, this guy was just the guy's record that he broke at Kansas, Dale Sayers.
It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad.
Like, that's what makes me love you, because the running of the football is still near and dear to you.
Yeah.
I love running backs running the football. There's nothing more. Who doesn't love a Joe Namath pass to Sauer or to Maynard? Sure, we love it. But man, there's nothing like watching a guy like Riggins run the football.
Well, there's nothing like watching a Baltimore-Pittsburgh game.
No.
Because there's one component on it. All right, they're going to play defense, and they're going to try to run the football down each other's throat. It's just, it's some of this like Neanderthal thing that we're admired. I mean, honestly, they're on the goal line. Harbaugh brings in, another offensive lineman instead of they don't have a tight end on the field. The Steelers are playing goal line defense. I mean, I take a picture of that, and this is football. Like, and it takes us back. As statistics show that if you can play defense and you can run the football, all right, and control the turnovers, you have an 80% chance of winning a game. And it's an old school philosophy. But I will tell you what people are doing today. They're still running the football.
Yeah.
They really are. They're still running the football. The bubble screen is nothing more than a toss.
Pitch, like pitching the football.
It is. And I know we don't want to admit it, but it's just like, all right, for whatever reason, being able just to run the old.
So I get up early this morning, getting all my stuff done. I knew I had to get here. And I flipped on the television. I always do. I'm going through the channels, watching highlights and stuff. Yesterday was like a 20-hour day, so I'm kind of just groggy and trying to get going here. Stephen A. Smith, greatest journalist out there, ties to the Philadelphia area. Love him. Pat McAfee went to West Virginia, grew up in Plum. They're kind of bookends on ESPN. Shannon Sharp, Hall of Fame tight end, tremendous player. He says he now considers the Steelers top team could be in the Super Bowl. Well, Stephen A. Smith, who loves the Steelers, started to wail on them, saying, didn't put the ball in the end zone. You can't put the ball in the end zone. You're not, and you shouldn't be favored, especially when you look at Buffalo. And Shannon Sharp basically said, and I respect all their opinions, but I got to lean with Shannon Sharp on this. He said, they won the game. Listen, I know, so they didn't put any points in the end zone. Boswell kicked 6 field goals, but isn't the goal to win football games? And I thought of you coming over here. A win is a win is a win. And if you've got a good defense, you can have a bad day on offense and you can win football games. And what's the old saying, Mr. Smith, with all due respect, defense wins championships.
Well, if you look at the 5 teams in our league that finished, and are still playing, 4 of them they all have outstanding defenses. They really do. That's the thing that you look at. And that's the thing that's changed actually in our league. This league used to be slinging all over the place. If you play defense, whatever. But now it is nothing. Now, I mean, you got some of the best defenses in the country at this level in this conference.
Last thing, and we'll wrap it up. And the other thing, I learned so much from these guys, young and older, like these coaches. But Don Yanessa said something really amazing Friday, and Stevie Higgins has said it, who played here, obviously, in 1975, went to play for Paul Bear Bryant because of Larry Bruno. Every quarterback that Larry Bruno coached played in college. Every single quarterback. But they said what made him so good, he did the sleight of hand, the magic thing.
Their ball.
They said, the thing that made Joe Namath so great, he could hide the ball.
Right.
So there's so many different ingredients in winning football games that sometimes people just think of the bomb, the pass is like the big splash play. If you can throw the ball deep, you can win. But that's really just a small part of winning football games.
One of the things about the Beaver Falls offense, and the one thing that Coach Bruno had was, if you, and I played against it, so I can tell you this. The quarterback had his back to you, so you couldn't tell.
How's that possible?
Well, he would just give it to the running back. So there would be times there would be two running backs going in this motion. The quarterback after the snap would turn around, and because of the ball handling, you couldn't see where the quarterback stepped of who was actually getting the ball. And it's not, and they call it eye candy, and you hear it today. So you got all these people running these formations across. And you got waggle now, and you got bootlegs that people are running, and everything else. All it is it's eye candy, it's deception of the eyes. And Coach Bruno would always talk about the hands.
I get it.
The hands are like, and
I get it.
So what if you can imagine a quarterback under center, and he turns around and he's going to deal the ball this way, you don't know if the fullback was getting it. You didn't know if the wingback was getting it. You didn't know if the halfback next to it was getting it. You didn't know if it was a play action because you couldn't. Everything was happening so quick. Like he would come in. He would come in every week, and
Bruno.
He would come in every week, and he was such. He has helped.
Did he mean a lot to
He
your
has
career?
helped my family. He's helped my family. My Uncle Dave is in from Las Vegas, played at UNLV. Was best friends with Coach Bruno's son at that time. He helped him get to UNLV back then. He helped me get to Georgia Tech. It was Coach Bruno who knew somebody there. It was Coach Bruno that was, he was. I remember this last year, he was going to go to Edinburgh and be the head coach there, but they had a freeze on state positions. But he already had people picked out on who he was going to take with him.
He. So Bruno was going to maybe go to Edinburgh?
He was going to go to Edinburgh after his high school thing. Yeah.
That would have been magical.
It was magical. And he was going to take Mike Nartone, and he was going to take Gio Pettis. He's going to take the DeMarco kid from New Bright. Blah, blah, blah. And it just wasn't because they were Italian. It was just, and then it just went
away. Listen, here's the other thing. I never realized this until I'm thinking about all this stuff about how he could really hide the football. Think about Namath in that Super Bowl. Boozer and Snell.
So go ahead.
Now that I'm thinking about it, man, he really
hid the football.
Right.
Yeah.
My goodness.
He had, Coach Bruno told me that he went on, obviously, after you have Joe Namath and you have that kind of success. He had so many offers and spoke at so many clinics across the country. And the theme of his talk was one step to greatness. And it was all about the step of the quarterback, how the quarterback would take a step, cheat step here, a step here. Everything was so precise. And that Beaver Falls offense was so precise. I'm telling you, one of the reasons why we had some success this year is offensively, our offense is run on precision. I know a lot of people look like it's just, insanity.
It's timing. Boom.
It's so much timing. And that was the Beaver.
The other thing I was thinking about, because you have the same colors, meaning a little bit of black and gold. Logo's kind of similar. I love Deion Sanders and what he's done at Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
Brought Warren Sapp there, who was full throttle, one of the greatest defensive linemen, I believe, right up there with the fearsome foursome, the Steel Curtain, the Purple People Eaters of the Alan Page and Company, Carl Eller of Minnesota. But Deion Sanders is a great motivator. He's a wonderful coach, I think. But think of this. He's got the 1-2 candidates for the Heisman Trophy now.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, this team could actually make it to the College Football Hall of Fame. And he's a spiritual guy.
He is. He was that way when he was coaching high school in Dallas.
But explain to me, how has he been able to do what he did? I mean, because I love him, but how is this possible? He's got Colorado 8 wins on the year.
It's no different. He's building a culture. I mean, you build a culture, an expectation of, who you are. And there's the part of, that you love with Deion, and then there's the other part that, and whatever. But as far as being able to put coaches together, I mean, who he had out there was coaching was Sal Sinceri.
Yeah, one of the greatest recruiters ever.
And Sal is unbelievable. Just talking to his family down on his trip. Sal is exactly one of the greatest recruiters.
Well, then I'm going to say this. I love Pitt. Pitt's my team. Pitt has always been my team. You've got Geneva, Pitt. They're kind of side by side. We keep losing all these players to Penn State. Quarterback, Fort Cherry's going. The Spell kid who plays for Miller.
Yeah.
Is only a sophomore, going to be a junior, maybe one of the best ever. He's going there. Tyke Hayes going there. So I'm talking to Greg Dulles and I love this guy that I'm about to drop his name. I'm like, how is Penn State getting all these guys?
Go ahead, say it.
It's Palco. Bobby Palco is working for Penn State now.
Yeah.
And who's probably in his ear, the great Tom Bradley, who cherry picked all the great ones from. I mean, I don't care. It's all good. Get the scholarship, do the best you can, be a good human being. And Coach Franklin's a great coach. But I love Pitt. And I know we don't have the numbers that we had when the Mills were booming. And Ditka's and the Moroccos and all these people and Yanessa's, those days are long gone. But still, my goodness gracious, we got to get some of those players. And that brings me to this closing. You still are hoping for that one more chance to witness that one great player who gets on that wall down at Reeves here before you retire. So this is the time of year that, man, you're just wide-eyed. You're looking at tape. You're in the car eating fast food from Sheetz, and you're just driving.
Yeah, I'm not eating it from Sheetz, but I'm eating it from Sheetz. But it's that quest for finding that person that it is. There's no difference. It's no different. Listen, it's like having the greatest broadcast you can have.
Yeah.
It's like in search of finding the biggest client you can have. I mean, it's just the carrot right in front of the horse. Let's call it what it is.
But it drives me.
Yeah.
I just want one more, build it, and they will come.
Yeah. Guess what? It doesn't end. It doesn't end. So why did Michael Jordan keep playing basketball?
He was great, but I don't know.
Who was he competing against?
Listen, Michael Jordan.
Who was he competing against?
Oh, some of the greatest of all time.
Michael Jordan was competing against Michael Jordan.
Yeah, himself. Yeah. Ask Terry Francona that.
Yeah.
I still can't believe actually managed him in minor league baseball. Can you imagine telling Michael Jordan, I don't think you're going to make it in baseball.
Yeah.
But listen,
then
with
he goes out and buys some bucks.
LeBron James from nearby Ohio, Akron, is going to be 40 within a month. I think he had another double-double last night. That guy is still, it's kind of hard, but I love Michael Jordan. But maybe if there was ever a 1-2, and then you got Kobe in the mix, come on.
My thing is, I'm going to go, we're going to leave it with this. I don't want any more discussion about it.
Okay.
But you got a guy that gets in a boxing ring, all right?
At 58.
At 58 years old. He is the toughest man on the planet.
Do you know what he said? And I love Mike Tyson, and it was sad to witness that, but he really humbled many of us by saying, look, he was gracious in defeat, and you should look at your life the same way as well. It can't always be a win, but if you're still competing, you should be happy. Okay, I get it, Mike. But here's the last thing. In June, he lost 25 pounds. He had to have 8 blood transfusions. So even if it was a little on the up and up, and Jake Paul, 27, who can punch, backed off the throttle a little bit, and they told Iron Mike, don't throw any uppercuts, he still did pretty well. He lasted 8 rounds, 8 2-minute rounds. I tell people all the time, and I know a little bit about boxing, just hold your hands up in front of a mirror for 3 minutes, put them down for a minute, 3 minutes, do that for like 12 or 15 rounds, you'll get it. So now what do you do that the season's over and we're going to say goodbye? What do you do now? What's next for Geno DeMarco?
Well, we go visit every local high school. That's the way we've done it for years. And we've got, electronic media and the way things work today. And, quote unquote, kids that are going to be offered by certain schools. I want to say this. This idea of being offered is a term that was used many years ago if you got offered a football scholarship. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody got offered, and you put them in the paper, you put this, everybody's got these offers, you got the whole shoebox full of letters, you got all this. So this word offered back then meant something, that you were getting a football scholarship.
Right.
So in this Division III thing that goes on now, coaches use this term offered to mean you have a roster spot. Can I say this?
Say whatever you want.
What kid who is going to be offered a roster spot to continue his college football because he can afford to do so at a school is going to say no? So this is the difference. And this is the thing that I don't like is, all right, are they really college football players? If you can pay the bill, you can call yourself a college football player.
All comes down to cash is king.
Still is.
All right, Geno. Because no matter where they decide to go to school, one thing that they'll never have, D&G Pizza just 3 miles away. Listen,
Yeah.
if I were an athlete, I would come here just because of D&G Pizza. Come on, we've had a good life.
We've had.
Amen, brother. All right, later tonight on the radio, it's your Pratt Pack.